Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Insights Out, where we talk to all folks across health and wellness who are working with patients, caregivers, clinicians, and consumers on topics of mental health and well-being, managing chronic diseases, and working in systems to help bring care and affect positive change in the healthcare system. Today, I have a very special and very unusual guest, Dave Tarnowski. Dave is a recent internet sensation, who's taken an interesting bent on the popular psychology of today across a lot of the social media channels. And we're really excited to talk today because this is going to be a very different episode. But with some really important undercurrents, I think, in terms of where we are as a society and how we can kind of maybe look to the lighter side of things, even in dark times. So thank you, Dave, for joining me, and welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So can we start off just a little bit of background about you and sort of what you're up to and what you're comfortable sharing, just to get the listeners a little bit acquainted before we get right into it?
Sure. Well, I am a former fiction writer who can never finish a novel. I mean, like 10 unfinished novels under my belt. And I started doing or making memes 2014. It was just something that it was like, I mean, it wasn't brand new at the time, but I was like, oh, I could do this. And I started making what they call niche memes, which is basically, it's this small kind of specialized area. So my initial page was called Nick Cave and the Bad Memes, based on Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And it became like this overarching kind of goth music infused. But through that, I developed skills. It's like you do anything over and over again, you're bound to get better at it. And if you don't, just, stop. But there were several other pages, and I ran them for a number of years. It was during my former marriage when all of this started. And after we split, I mean, I went through a shit ton of grief. I mean, it was just like literally 3 years that, I just couldn't, not that I couldn't function, but I just wasn't doing well. But
you were quite affected, let's say.
Yes. But during that time, on these Instagram pages, I was doing Q&A. And so basically, I just started doing it. It was just like, hey, what's on your mind? And people started sharing. And it was just this incredible sort of community. But about the summer of last year, I was really at a point where I was sick of everything. I just didn't want to do any of that stuff anymore. And I went on this great vacation. It was this beautiful meditation retreat, upstate New York, Omega Institute. And I took my phone, I put it in a drawer of my room, and I didn't look at it for 5 days other than to check the time, right? And I really had time to reboot, reassess, restart. And the following month, I made my first, what I would call disappointing affirmation, because that's my page, disappointing affirmations. And it got, good response. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this, because in the niche world, you have to fit there. I can do anything with this, right? One of my favorite things is when someone says, this is not a disappointment. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry you're disappointed. So in either way.